Ladies and gentlemen, Dark Jill Stein has made an appearance. Yes, Jill Stein potentially affecting the 2024 election. And in the state of Michigan, you've got this new poll that's come out from the Council of American Islamic Relations. Trump is leading Kamala by 6% among Muslim voters. In 2020, they voted for Biden by 70%. And you can see Jill Stein 40%, Trump sitting at 18, Kamala Harris sitting at 12. You go back to that 2016 result, the election in which Jill Stein was involved in, along with Gary Johnson. And oh my goodness, I mean, this is a very slim margin. We take a look at this, Donald Trump winning by 0.3%. You do have Gary Johnson with 3.6%. How much of that is Hillary vote versus Trump vote? We don't know, but probably Gary Johnson helping Trump, we would figure that year, along with Jill Stein of the Green Party. Very much, obviously it's not an exact correlation like, oh, that 1.1% would go to Hillary if Jill Stein wasn't on the ballot, but more so would have went to Hillary than to Trump. And a lot of the people probably just wouldn't have voted or would have voted for another third party generic, but still 1.1 points there. And Trump wins by 0.3. These are big numbers. I mean, having Jill Stein on the ballot, obviously the RFK Jr. thing, everyone was wondering, would he help Trump? Would he hurt Trump? Well, it turns out he drops out. He endorses Trump. He's forced to remain on the ballot in some of these states because the liberals want him to, because if he drops out, it helps Trump even more and he gets off of the ballot. But still, Jill Stein, with this poll on Muslim voters, possibly getting 40%, eating up so much voter base, and that enables Trump to even beat Kamala in this poll. It's just one specific poll, but it's such a massive shift to look at. It really is crazy. You're going from a Biden victory by 70% to a potential maybe where Kamala and Trump tie or it's closer. I mean, that is a crazy difference. It's a small percentage of the population in Michigan for sure, and this is just one poll. That's, only a little small data point even out of that. But still, it's just interesting to see a potential huge shift. And it's really not even Trump making it up. It's Jill Stein hogging all of the Kamala Muslim vote in the state of Michigan if these numbers hold. And this could swing 0.5, 0.7%. That's really all you need for Trump, considering he won the state by 0.3 back in 2016 with Jill Stein hogging 1.1% of the vote. And it's just very interesting to see. So possibly dark Jill Stein. Remember, Jill Stein already came out and said, the Democrats are disgusting. They're anti-democracy. They say they're for democracy, but they do everything in their power to keep her off the ballot. And they were trying to do that. And it just goes to show you that they know Jill Stein is going to hurt the Democrats. And the Democrats are like, this is such a charade. Jill Stein's never going to win. She just does this and she siphons votes from us. And that's really exactly what happens. And it really is hilarious. And so this really might end up helping Trump in Michigan. We've seen these great polls. I mean, every state, to be fair, if you look at the polling, obviously the betting is different. Trump is trending everywhere in terms of the betting. He's up in basically everything. But the polling, we're seeing every state get condensed to within a point. Trump was trailing by 2 or 3 in Nevada, now it's close. Trump was up by 2 or 3 in Georgia, now it's close. Trump was trailing in Michigan, now he's leading by half a point. Everything is condensed to within a point difference in terms of the average aggregate on Real Clear Politics. And so to see numbers like this, every little thing's going to affect you. You've got Jill Stein now on the ballot. Trump won in 2016 when she was on the ballot. She wasn't on it in 2020, but now she is in 2024, and she is looking for some revenge and to siphon off votes from Kamala Harris. There's a reason the Democrats did not want her on the ballot, and she is siphoning off voters in Michigan, and it's going to help Donald Trump get elected for sure. We've got this. Elon Musk is saying that Donald Trump will be on JRE, the Joe Rogan Experience. It's going to happen. I've talked about this at length multiple times in my live stream to the viewers, to you guys. And my thought was that there was a holdup to where Trump normally doesn't go, or at least before like the past 4 or 5 months, he didn't go to where the podcasters were. Like the podcasters would have to come to him and interview him with like a suit and tie, and Rogan didn't want that. But now it seems like Trump, like with Flagrant and some of these others, he's going to the podcast studio, so he might go to the studio. And I think it'd be a lot better for Trump to do an hour and a half, do 2 hours. We know these politicians, when they do these podcasts, they go for an hour and they're gone. Rogan's thing is it's a 3-hour conversation. It would be awesome if we could at least get Trump to do 2 hours, preferably 3, but at least get 2 hours rather than the hour or whatever, which is what all politicians do whenever they go on these podcasts, right or left. Normally, it's just right-wing people. But when the left-wing people do go on, like Bernie Sanders, I remember his Jerry appearance was really short in comparison to most of the episodes. That's just how they are. But it would be great to get 2 hours, 2.5 hours from Trump on Joe Rogan. And I think it's going to help Trump slightly. This is more so like an internet thing rather than, it's going to get Trump votes. It's more like entertainment that we want to see it. And I know people like it's going to have a huge effect because look at how big Rogan is. And it's like Rogan has gone right wing. I know people, like, we live in a time where if you don't agree with every single thing on the right or on the left, you're not part of the team. But no, I mean, Rogan, most of the stuff he says is pro-right wing. And a lot of the people, most of the people that watch his show now are Republican. There's a lot of liberals that used to watch him that, some of them still do. Some of them are, they get triggered anytime you say anything positively about conservatives. So they stopped or listen to him, I guess. I shouldn't say watch him. It's a podcast. But, I used to listen to Rogan when I was younger, back when, 2016, 2017, maybe during a few of my workouts when I was on a workout grind in 2021. But this is something I'll definitely listen to. He gets Alex Jones back on. I'll listen to that as well. But it's going to be huge, obviously. And Elon Musk says it's going to happen. I think, listen, this is the thing. It's like YOLO, you only live once. This is Trump's last time running. Rogan's the biggest podcast out there. Let's make it happen. What are we doing here? And then people are like, well, Rogan's concerned about the backlash. Rogan's already thought of by liberals as like this right-wing guy anyways. It's not going to affect anything. Like, this is not like, some liberal having Rogan on and it's just, to me, there's just no dynamic of Rogan to where it's like, you're already so big. You've already got, $100 million, back-to-back $100 million deals from Spotify. What does it matter if you have Rogan on and liberals get angry? Like, they're already angry. Because Rogan's made the shift already at least a little bit. Now, he's still, I think, from what I hear, placates to being an independent, saying there's problems with the right, saying there's problems with the left. He tries to do the both sides argument, and that's fine. He can do whatever he wants. Everyone's entitled to it. That's perfectly fine. But it's not like he's this left-wing person who's going to be like, oh my God, my audience is going to hate me if I have Rogan on. It's just, the thing's going to be a hit. It's going to be the #1 podcast probably of the year if it happens, and I think it will happen. So that would be my take on that. You have the campaign events for Harris and Trump. And again, I'll go back to the idea. Remember, liberals were very critical of Hillary Clinton for not having many events because you look at the polls back in 2016, it was looking like she was going to win the entire time. And she did not go to the Rust Belt towards the end. And now you've got Kamala Harris, only 13 events, less events than J.D. Vance, even the VP. And then Tim Walz really struggling with only 7 events, Trump up to 21. He is a workhorse. He'll do 2 rallies a day. And that's why, you can afford to go to Madison Square Garden in New York. You can afford to go to California. You can afford to go to Aurora, Colorado. If you're doing, almost double the events, 21 events versus 13 events for Harris. And it's just, I'm surprised the liberals aren't angry. I think the thing is, I think liberals realize Harris cannot draw a crowd. So they're like, it's understandable she doesn't do any events because nobody wants to see her. So it's like, we can't really, there's no sense in having a rally. Nobody will show up. It'll look bad. So I think that's why they're not criticizing her for it. But still, it's hilarious to see. Like, normally, this is like a race. You would think Trump would be at 21, Harris would be at 20. They'd go back and forth, back and forth. It's not even close to that. Like, she just won't come out. And it's not like there's any excuse like the pandemic in 2020. And Walz is even worse. Seeing him do a rally is very, very rare. You never see that. Walz is sitting at 7, which is pretty crazy. You've got the potential chances Republicans sweep the presidency, House, and Senate up to a 39% chance. So almost 40, almost 4 in 10 chance. That is being weighed down a little bit by the House. And the House right now, I think Republicans have maybe like a 40 to a 45% chance to win the House. Right now, around a 55 to 60% chance for Trump to win. And then the Senate is around a 75 to 80% chance in terms of that. It's very, very unlikely it's going to be a Democrat sweep because they have a very hard time. I have a hard time believing they're going to win the Senate when it comes to that. We also do have this. I thought this was funny from the Atlantic. So you've got this little thing up here. It's like the breaking news from the Atlantic. For the 5th time in its 167-year history, is endorsing a candidate. So they're endorsing a candidate, and the candidate is Kamala Harris. And then right under that, I'm running out of ways to explain how bad this is. And they're talking about, I guess, the First Amendment saying that the First Amendment and free speech doesn't work and it's a total disaster. So you've got them endorsing Kamala Harris and then saying why we need to get rid of the First Amendment. And listen, that's their viewpoint. They do not think the First Amendment is good. Now, of course, there has to be this almost clown mask they put on. It's the same thing with immigration where they're like, they have to appeal to white people. And it's like, it's funny to see, like, for 3 months out of every 4 years, they have to do this bullshit. Like, we love the American flag. We love the United States. We love what we stand for. Of course, they're totally lying. They just want to get your vote. And then next year, we'll see what they do if Harris gets in to free speech, especially. They don't believe in free speech on the internet. They will make Elon Musk's life a total living hell for the free speech and the lack of, I guess, regulation that X currently has right now. But it's so funny. And I just don't think independent people, especially independent white people, working class white people, they're going to win Trump this election. They're just not going to buy this bullshit. I mean, it's just like, we're endorsing Kamala Harris. This is why free speech sucks. But no, we love America, because that's what their campaign believes. Like, the Kamala Harris campaign's like, we love the American flag. We love you guys. Like, it's this charade where they have to appeal to these middle-class white people in the Rust Belt. And it's just so funny because it's so fake. It is so fake. So guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.